Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special holiday edition of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. Before we get started, I just want to wish one of our awesome moderators, Deb, a very happy birthday. I think it might be tomorrow, but happy birthday anyway. And thank you for being here. Yeah, so I think where even to start? Um, Also, by the way, I'm here solo today, so please put your questions in the chat, and I will do my best not to pause too much um, as I look for them. But this obviously goes easier if I have questions to answer. Otherwise, you just have to listen to me ramble. What do I think about the orb? I don't know what that means. Uh, Sorry, Charisse, if that's and I hope I'm not pronouncing that incorrectly. Okay, here's a question from Lisa. I know you have empathy. Yeah, I've been told that empathy is learned. How did you learn? Well, I don't think it's a totally learned behavior, but there are certain kinds of human interactions that are essential uh for the development of empathy. Obviously, being loved helps. um but there's a something called mirroring, and that's when a baby, this happens very early in our lives, when the baby's parents reflect back to the child's emotions. It sort of validates the baby's emotional experiences. Um, smiling back, etc. So it's a way for the baby to understand how its emotions are exist in the world. So it's yeah, sort of the beginning of empathy in that it's a very basic thing, and it's instinctual, right? On the mother's part, or the primary caregiver's part. Um, but when you have and again, this happens, the first couple of years, the crucial developmental period, and if your father is a sociopath, as my grandfather was, and if your mother is sort of absent emotionally, psychologically, or physically, you're not going to get mirrored very much. So, believe it or not, Donald actually had empathy at one point. It was very weak and unformed, and the biggest problem, though, that it was that it was unvalued. So that's why we are where we are in some way. It's very sad. I think the saddest thing for me is that people look at Donald and don't see that. It's so obvious to me. From Steven, what's sorry, I'm not it's gonna take me a minute to get the hang of this. From Steven, what's my take on drone fever? I don't have it. I thought I did not understand all the hysteria. And the my favorite thing, though, and I what sort of made me even less interested in it than I was already, was that the former governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, who posted a video. He like videoed the night sky, and was going on and on about how Biden needs to do something. And somebody in the comments, he posted on Twitter, and in the comments, somebody's like, "Those are stars." That's the constellation Orion. So, and it also, I could be wrong. I mean, I think New Jersey made it illegal to have drones or something, but it seems the whole thing seems to have gone away. Um, Hopefully, but drones honestly are going to be a problem going forward. I just don't think there was anything completely or any at all nefarious, and a lot of the so-called sightings, like Hogan's, were just, you know, amplifying and built on uh probably some actual sightings, but um anyway, we haven't heard a word about it. Let's see. Thank you, Susan. Yes, good idea. Before your question, actually write the word in all caps, question, so it stands out and makes my scrolling go a little bit faster. Natalie, it's spill the beans about your cousins. I don't have any. And if I did, I mean, I don't know. I find them useless and uninteresting, but you know, also the truth of the matter is I don't know them because I didn't grow up with them. My grandparents had like two different generations of grandchildren. There was my cousin, my the oldest grandchild, was my Aunt Marianne's son, my brother and I, and then Donald. The only other children in the family are Donald's, and Donnie, the oldest, was born when I was 12. So I literally don't have any, you know, other than sharing holidays on occasion. I didn't have any interactions with them. Thank you, Kendra. Awesome, much appreciated. Um, Leilani, Donnie, I don't know if you mean my cousin or Donald, but claims to be Jewish. No, nope. The only Jewish person in my family is Ivanka, converted to Judaism. That's all I know. Mercedes joined us. She's not supposed to be here. She's supposed to be celebrating whatever today is, Tuesday. So hello, Mercedes. Mercedes is lurking. I think that's what the kids call it. Okay, from Josie, what do you think Elon Musk's ultimate goal as he gains power globally? That is the goal, just to take over everything, to have more money, more power. I I guess so he could do more ketamine. I think there's no end point. It's just more money, more power, more money, more power. And as we know, it's for people like him and for people like Donald, it is never enough. Somebody I know wrote a book about it. Seriously, if you want to understand part of the psychology of, you know, the developmental psychological history, you could read my first book, Too Much and Never Enough, because I imagine that Elaine, thank you, it's so kind. Is that you know, there's probably a lot of overlap in you know, their upbringing. And also I posted a video a couple of days ago about the psychopathology of obscene wealth, or the obscenely wealthy, I should say. So should check that out too. Also from Steven. Oh, look at that. Mercedes, thank you. I think Mercedes was probably listening with this in the background, and she got frustrated by how slowly I was getting the question. So she decided to come in and rescue me. Which is good for you guys, and good for me, certainly. From Steven, how do I feel about Luigi? I don't, he murdered somebody in cold blood, and I don't really think it matters why. So, that's kind of how I feel. I guess another way of putting it is to ask this question: is there any motive that justifies killing somebody in cold blood? So, I mean, it's straight. this guy's a stranger. Didn't know each other. So I think it's a mistake to turn him into some kind of hero. Um, and I don't think it helps the cause in the way people think it does, but that is a separate question. Sylvia, do you have any ideas about Kimberly Guilfoyle turning on the Trump family? I heard she might tell all out of spite. She's probably had to sign many, many non-disclosure agreements. So I think that it's not an accident she's being sent to Greece to be our ambassador, which is just so embarrassing. I'm very sorry, Greece. Brian asks, is Donald going to turn all God. He would if he could if he would if he could. But I don't know. I just a theory. I think that he's going to be in Mar-a-Lago mostly, and he's just going to like he's going to have the same life he has now basically, and let everybody else do the work of stripping our country for parts and selling them. And you know, I don't think that he's going to be engaged in anything except making money and getting revenge is the wrong word, because that suggests that somebody did something wrong to him. He's just going to be making people's lives miserable, people he hates. So that's pretty much what he's going to do. Donna, did you see? Oh, I guess The Apprentice movie. I probably met Roy Cohn, or met as in was in the same room with him, like was at the same parties or whatever. I don't think I mean, I knew who he was obviously because they talked about him all the flipping time. Like at Christmas dinner, for example. I don't remember meeting him. It wouldn't have meant anything to me. I don't remember when he died, but you know, you think I'd remember because he was so evil, but oh yeah, because he was probably at Donald's wedding. So yes, I was in the same space with him, unfortunately. What a vile person he was. I saw the movie. I'm actually gonna talk about it in a video. I have thoughts. Okay, from Fran. Ever since Donald's I can shoot someone on a Fifth Avenue statement, I felt that his sociopathy is manifesting in a game of chicken. Thoughts on what's going on with him psychologically? One, he's not. I do not believe. It doesn't matter what I believe, but just clinically. All right, let me start over by saying, I've never diagnosed him. I don't believe he's a sociopath, but I also think it doesn't matter because all that matters is how he behaves and how he treats people. What is obvious is that he's declining, and it would be lovely if corporate media would pay as much attention to that as they did to how flippin' old Joe Biden was. And, whether I'm specific about the diagnosis or not. And the reason I don't, there are many reasons, but the main reason is diagnosing somebody is an actual process. You can't just look at somebody's behavior and say, oh, it's just like same thing with medical doctors. You have to get the tests done and you have to analyze the data. Also, he's sadly related to me. But that aside, I mean, anybody looking at him as long as we've been forced to can see that there's a lot going on. He's got very serious psychiatric disorders for sure that have gone untreated forever. So, of course, they're worsening. He may indeed have some kind of neurological, age-related issues going on. Um, and what else? He's clearly got a caffeine addiction, and you cannot drink 12 Diet Cokes a day and not have a caffeine addiction. So he probably has some kind of sleep disorder because of that. I mean, we know that he's up all night, all the time. Elaine, thank you, so very kind of you. Awesome. And just again to remind all of you, we so appreciate your donations over here at Mary Trump Media. It helps us out tremendously, because we have an amazing team, and we could not do that. We wouldn't if it weren't for you guys. Okay, Satronaut 2009. Do I think Donald will enjoy being Elon's first lady? He's not going to know that's what he is. And as somebody I don't remember who pointed it out, maybe Brian, he would be Elon's third lady. So, Donald is going to think that he's, he sort of reminds me of my grandfather in this way. My grandfather had Alzheimer's, and, as he got older, he literally wasn't capable of doing anything. It's definitely not running his business, but they'd dress him up and bring him to the office every day anyway. And he would sit behind his desk and just like sign blank pieces of paper. And in his mind, he believed that he was running the world, right? So that's what Donald's going to think. And other people will be doing the dirty work, leaving him free again, just to get rich and to, whatever he's going to do, sick the IRS on people, make people's lives miserable. His people he considers his enemies, like Liz Cheney, etc. Adam Schiff. From Donna, will Melania survive or continue her marriage? Not yelling. Okay. I think we all would be within our rights to be yelling, but I don't. I'm not entirely sure there's a person on the planet I find less interesting and more off-putting than her. So I don't know. Listen, I think that if she doesn't, who knows? Who knows? I honestly, I'd be happy to if she just was never in public again. All right. From Lisa. Sorry, I just, she's one of those people just ugh. Do you think the 14th Amendment, Section 3 constitutional? Yes, I don't understand. I understand nothing. It's in the Constitution that insurrectionists cannot run for public office. And yet, thanks to Merrick fucking Garland, we now have an insurrectionist who won re-election because it took 2 years to even charge him with anything, and then Donald ran out the clock with the help of the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court. We have over 10 sitting senators, insurrectionists in our Senate. We have over 140 representatives in the House. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm telling you, we're going to get to the point where the only amendment left is the second one. It's craziness. Okay, Natalie. My favorite food. I think I'm not a foodie, really. But if I had to pick one thing, it would be pasta. I love pasta. Thank you for asking. Maxwell, thank you. So very appreciated. I'm very grateful. Hey, Caroline. Why do people operate on feelings while ignoring what they see? My visceral feeling will always take a backseat to what I see. Yeah, because people have been manipulated and lied to and undereducated and you know, I think it's also when the feeling is fear, it's much easier to manipulate people, and it's sad, but, that's what the right has figured out, um, and it's just sorry. Okay, hang on one sec. Alright, I lost you guys. Where's the there it is, sorry. Alright, yeah, I don't know. Uh, thank you, Mercedes. This is going swimmingly. Yeah, I think part of it is when you make everything a zero-sum game, which my family was, played by the rules of the zero-sum game, it's a recipe for disaster. So, that's a big reason we're where we are now, sadly. Okay, from Deb. Question: When Elon goes away, which billionaire replaces him? I mean, goes away, I don't know, like, right now, he's worth many times what the second richest person or is like, I think he's worth, quote, unquote, "worth" $450 billion now. So, he's only gonna get richer because Donald's going to be in office. I don't know. I think Elon Musk is just now the poster child for doing away with, by what not doing away with, but getting rid of the whole idea that one can be that rich. But I mean, is one these multi billionaires, they all seem to be equally awful. He's just more awful, and he is got way too much power. David, thank you so much. Very kind of you. From Kissy Cat. Question: What did Grandpa think of Donald's first divorce? He didn't care. My grandfather didn't care about anything, and he didn't think that nothing Donald did was the wrong thing in my grandfather's eyes, except he thought it was a bad idea for him to have casinos in Atlantic City, and he was right. And yeah, by the time Donald married Marla, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and I don't think really knew what was going on. Rest of my family hated her. They were so mean to her. It was absurd. I liked Marla. I felt bad for her actually, but just because just treated her horribly for no reason at all. Okay, from Lucid Insanity. Yeah, sounds about right. Question: If Elon Musk buys MSNBC, can we stop using that too? Yeah, yes. If not that you need my permission, but yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Part of me just wonders why he hasn't. I mean, it wouldn't make a dent. He probably has enough money under his couch cushions to buy MSNBC. I don't know. um, maybe he's like too busy. I don't know what he's doing, but whatever it is, it's not good. Um, yeah, if that happens, then we're in seriously dangerous territory. I mean, we already are, but it'll be even more. Sorry, guys, my microphone is broken, so I have to, and I keep forgetting to fix it. So, it's a little annoying. Okay, from Blue Beanie, question: Why did Krampus fail in taking your Uncle Donald? Um, I do not know. I mean, yeah, I nobody's perfect, I guess. Not even Krampus. All right. Diane, thank you so much. Very kind of you. From Sherry, question: Do you think Donald is one, serious about invading Panama and Mexico? Two, does he honestly believe he can take back the Panama Canal and take Greenland from Denmark? That's delusional. Well, yeah, because he is. I I don't know. I mean, he's so absurd at this point that it's hard to take any of this seriously. I don't understand the obsession with Greenland. I don't get it at all. And I also think it's probably a really bad idea to be threatening to invade your neighbors or take back like take back the Panama Canal at like one bucket of water at a time. Like how does one do that? And whether or not he's serious, and he probably is in some weird part of his very damaged brain. But if he's not serious, do you think somebody might be taking him seriously? Like he's not a funny person. Like he's not joking for sure. So I don't know. It just seems like a really bad way to. I mean, and then there are other things he's definitely serious about, like getting out of NATO and dismantling the World Health Organization and really crazy things like that. So from Scott, question: Why didn't the DOJ Garland et al. Put Donald away? I think they're scared of him for some reason. Yeah, this will be the question of our time. Like historians will look back, and that will be the question. What what was Merrick Garland thinking? He literally was in a position to save American democracy, and he couldn't be bothered. Like, well, Hunter Biden lied on a gun application form. That seems much more pressing. I don't think there's a good answer. I don't know that we'll ever have the answer, but whatever the answer is, it isn't a good one. And being afraid of somebody is is like the worst reason not to do something. Um, because seriously, like what was he gonna? Mm, I I want to know what happened, and I'm afraid we aren't going to. Um, but it is nearly inexplicable and infuriating, uh, what Merrick Garland did and did not do. So, I wish I had an answer for you. From Moya, how how much will Donald pay for Greenland? Good question. Well, he says sometimes he says he's going to buy it, and at other times he says he's going to take it, which I think would be considered an act of war. And also, how does that work? Are we just gonna have, like, troops storm the beaches of Greenland? Does Greenland have beaches? I don't know, I've never been there. And also, why? Yes, I guess it has a lot of rare earth minerals or something, but I just hope that as this horror unfolds, we are still going to have the ability to laugh. That is my hope for all of us. Barbara, question: Can you imagine if Matt Gaetz had gotten through to be AG? Yeah. I mean, Barbara, I think Republicans all knew what was in that report, and they could not, and they know that people know they knew. In other words, let me rephrase that. That was inelegantly put. So Americans who are paying attention understood that Republican senators and congresspeople and people in the House knew exactly who Matt Gaetz was, and if they had confirmed him, and then all of that had come out, we would know that they made him AG, even though he's somebody who sex trafficked girls, used all sorts of illegal drugs, and frequented prostitutes. I mean, so I don't think he would have gotten through. I think what's more important, and I wish it were being made a bigger deal of, is that Donald knew all of those things about Matt Gaetz and nominated him to be attorney general. That's the disturbing. That should be the disturbing part there. But and also there's a possibility that because of Gaetz, his other nominees will have an easier time getting confirmed. From Diane, question: can you explain why Donald, Elon think that they can quote take it all with them unquote when they expire? You know what, Diane, that is such a good question. I'm telling you, imagine being I don't know how old Musk is, but being any age you are, I mean, even if you're like 20, and having $450 billion and thinking the best way to spend your life is to make more money. Imagine being almost 80 years old, and thanks to the fact that America is a deeply, deeply broken country, being richer than you've ever been in your life because you lied, cheated, and stole your way into the Oval Office yet again, and thinking the best use of the few remaining days or weeks or months or years you have left is to make more money and punish your perceived enemies. I mean, really? I actually do think, and I come from a family in which money was the only thing that mattered. Not just that it mattered more than anything else, it's the only thing that mattered. It defined your worth as a human being, which is why, you know, so the more you had, the more you were worth, not just monetarily, but as a human. Therefore, giving money away made you worth less. Okay. And I literally think that all my uncle Rob, who's hope you're sitting down, a terrible person. And Donald, like, I really do think that they believe that they can take it with them, because there's no other, like, their just pathological acquisitiveness doesn't make any sense otherwise. So, yeah. Sorry, that's so sad. Oh man. All right, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. Um, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes. From Nora, question: is Donald incapable of feeling anything real for anyone but himself? Yes, he is incapable. Imagine that. Absolutely incapable. And it's because nobody ever loved him, which is, no reason to feel sorry for him. But it obviously warped him. So yeah, I said earlier that, he used to have empathy, a very weak, sad little spark of empathy, but that's long gone. Um, from Mistaken POTUS. Oh, sorry, I'm not sure. Drump. Mistaken POTUS Drump. Question: how does Donald feel about me? I think Donald probably hates me. Works for me. Which is kind of weird considering Yeah, I get that a lot. Like I have one of the um more frequent hate posts I get is about how disloyal I am. Seriously, like it's a one-way street. Okay. From EMT girl, why does Donald demand that the Panama Canal be given back to the US? I don't know. Like that's what like some of his like recent obsessions are like calling Canada the 51st state and saying we should annex it. And again, the Greenland thing, which has never made sense to me. Um, and now the Panama Canal. I don't know. I just don't know. Um, I think that either somebody is like giving him bad information or he listens to corrupted propaganda networks also. So who knows what's getting through to him and catching his attention. But again, yet another thing that the corporate media should probably making more of. From Roxanne, how does he, I assume you mean Donald, not have kidney stones? I um not a medical doctor. I don't honestly, I don't know how one gets kidney stones. And also, we don't know that he doesn't have them because we have no information about any of his medical issues, really. We don't know. Um, like, this is a guy who keeps saying he's 6'3", and every time I see him, he's like 2 inches shorter than he was the last time. So we have no information about his medical or psychological health at all. So he may well have them. And I'm assuming he engages in some kind of behavior that makes kidney stones a likely outcome. Look at me deducing things. Okay, Linda. Question. How long before Donald totally blows a gasket over Elon being called the president-elect will he eventually go numb to it? He's already blowing a gasket. I mean, but I mean, who knows what he's doing privately, but publicly, he's clearly concerned about it. And in one of his, it was like some WWE rally he had. He referred to it a couple of times, and he basically, and it was really, it's very, very weak when you have to go out there and say, no, 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 I'm really president. So he's obviously aware of it. It's definitely getting under his skin. What did he say exactly? You know, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. And by the way, Elon can't be president anyway because he wasn't born here. Way to lead with strength, Donald. It was so embarrassing. But on the other hand, will he go numb to it? No, but you have to remember Donald is very, his world is tiny. Smaller than his hands even probably. And there are very few people, I mean, he's sort of protected to some degree from the truth because nobody around him tells him the truth. So obviously things do break through, but the person who has his ear the most right now, it appears, is Elon Musk. So, and nothing ever lasts, right? Like people will move on to the next thing. So I just don't know how much longer it will go around that that Musk is really president and he's a shadow president and just doesn't, I don't know if it's going to stick. So if it does stick, we'll see. But again, I think Musk is probably there to reassure Donald and lie to him. Does Don from sorry, I just ran right into the next question. From Julia, does Donald ever sleep? Yeah, he does, but not a lot. Not a lot. Not enough, for sure. I know people's sleep needs vary, but 3 or 4 hours. I don't at his age. Yeah. It's very unhealthy. He's just unhealthy all the way around. My grandfather didn't need much sleep either. But he was also healthy. Okay, from Shep. Question: did you choose the subtitle for your book Too Much and Never Enough? That subtitle has been the most accurate description of Donald that I've ever heard. For those who don't know, my first book, the title was Too Much and Never Enough, and the subtitle was How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Men. I came up with the title. Subtitles are not my thing, apparently. I did not come up with a subtitle. I don't remember who did. I mean, I tweaked it for sure, but you know, yes, it turned out to be prescient, did it not? Yeah, I mean, I didn't come up with it because it seemed hyperbolic and what's the word I'm looking for? Clickbaity, I guess. But the publisher that's probably what the publisher was looking for, and it seems to have worked. So I just wish it weren't true. I wish I could remember who came up with it because props to them. Darkest Hour asks, will Donald end Santa Claus's socialistic tendencies to deliver toys to all kids regardless of their socioeconomic status? Well, we know that the first time during the first administration, he actually revealed in all of the phone calls to Christmas Eve phone calls, he revealed to like a 7-year-old that there was no such thing as Santa Claus. So, yeah, I mean, who can support that kind of socialism? No, thank goodness there's a Santa Claus. That's the only reason I got any decent presents as a child. Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if he did that because he's awful. And or he'll get all of the presents. From Kissy Cat, what did Grandpa think of the bankrupt casinos? Well, my grandfather had he was a very provincial person. He had a very narrow worldview. And I mean, he wasn't against casinos because he cared about, gambling was bad or whatever. Although, it's something he would never do. And it was just like not his style, he was a very staid, conservative, small c conservative, not showy, not glitzy person. Like he had his one extravagance was he had a chauffeur driven limousine, but it's mostly because he was a terrible driver. So he was also cheap. And until Donald came around, my grandfather had no debt. Zero debt. And then of course he started throwing lots and lots of money at Donald and also probably knew that Donald was not at all what everybody pretended he was. He wasn't some, brilliant, what's that word? Entrepreneur, right? So he probably knew on some level that if Donald did go into Atlantic City and the casinos, my grandfather had nothing to do with that world. My grandfather had no influence down there. He had no connections down there. That Donald would screw it up, and he did. So I don't know what he thought about the bankruptcies, but actually I do know because my Aunt Marianne told me because we were talking about this a few years ago, and she basically said that my grandfather and Donald had this in common. They never took responsibility for anything that went wrong, and they always blamed other people. So my grandfather also never blamed Donald for anything, and blamed the banks and the economy and the what have you. So, you know, that's apparently the way to be a man now, is not to take responsibility ever for anything, and never admit you're wrong. Very manly. From Sylvia, what's your question? What's your opinion about podcasters morphing into mainstream, since their popularity is soaring and people are trusting them more? Well, first thing I think is, everybody help us soar. Subscribe to our channel. It really helps. I think we're at 216,000 subscribers, and we really want to get to 250 as quickly as possible. So I mean, look, I think it's a good thing. I think it's I think corporate media, legacy media, traditional media, however you want to call it, needs to be challenged. And a lot of people are doing that, whether via podcast or YouTube channels, what have you. But what I would also say is that it's not going to mean much if rich people on the left don't start taking the information disparity seriously. Because, yeah, a lot of podcasters' popularity is soaring, but if you look at the top 10, almost every single one of them is a far right wing. It's the Ben Shapiros and the Dan Bonginos and the Megyn Kellys and the Candace Owens. I mean, it's very creepy, but they're all funded, because that's it. That's what it takes, So hopefully it will matter. But we need to be on equal footing with the there's just a media echo chamber on the right that is so much more influential than anything on the left. From Debbie, how old was your grandpa when he died? I think he was 92. Meanness is a preservative, I like to say. Yeah, my grandmother was 89. All right. I just want to thank some of you all. Barbara, wonderful. Thank you so much. Debbie, another super sticker. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Jim McGregor, wonderful. Seriously appreciated. DJ Waffles back. Cool. First of all, thank you so much for that as well. Again, your support is so important to us. President-elect Elon Musk seems to be getting under Donald's skin. I think it's going to come to a head sooner rather than later. Yeah, I want to go back to that. I'm not sure, because Donald 8 years ago would not be putting up with this fellow narcissists stomping on his territory. He would not have been able to put up with it. So I think part of the issue is that Donald has deteriorated. He's not the same person. Not just that he's older, but he's sicker. He's weaker. And then there's the question of money. Musk gave at least $250 million to Donald's campaign. Do we think that came without any strings attached? I think it's highly unlikely. And there's also the possibility that Donald doesn't really understand what's happening. I think it bothers him for sure that people are referring to Musk as President Musk. But does he see it that way? Like, what is because one thing Musk has figured out is how to manipulate Donald, obviously. He knows, he understands that the last person to have Donald's ear is the person with the most influence. And there's a reason Musk has not left Mar-a-Lago pretty much since the election. So I think he is always the last person to have Donald's ear. So I don't really know if Musk is going anywhere. And I have to be honest, I think that's terrible for the country. But it's also terrible for the Republican Party. And I think that it gives Democrats, if they could get their act together, a perfect opportunity to exploit how bad it is, and because it's so obvious who's responsible for it, right? One can hope. One can hope. From Amanda E. Sorry, Amanda. Question. Do you have any advice on how to survive a Christmas Eve dinner with some of my MAGA family members? I'm dreading it. You're not going to like it. Don't go. Or if that's not an option, don't say a word about that kind of stuff. I mean, talk about food or movies or something as neutral as humanly possible. I don't know what else to say, except I'm very sorry you have to deal with it. I definitely empathize. From me and names and pronouncing them. Rylvan? Cool name. Question. What is a book we all need to read right now? I'm going to give you two picks. One is just sort of an emergency manual by Timothy Schneider. It's called On Tyranny. It's very short. And it's just sort of rules to live by during these very, very troubling times. Second, I don't know, need to read. I don't know. I think what I'll say is you all need to read something that is going to take you out of yourselves. Like I love fiction. So that's how I escape. But in terms of need, read Timothy Snyder. Also, Ruth Ben-Ghiat's Strongman is an excellent place to learn about how we got where we are. From Wanda Brown, question: the way Donald has been using Mar-a-Lago since leaving office, do you think he'll actually run the government from Mar-a-Lago? Heard his office at Mar-a-Lago set up like the Oval Office. Yeah, I think I said this earlier. What incentive does he have to go back to DC? His hotel's not there anymore. I don't think he likes the White House. He thinks that Mar-a-Lago is a superior facility, which is hysterical. I've been there. I was there quite a few times in a different lifetime. And I've also been to the White House. The White House is actually quite beautiful. And Mar-a-Lago is extraordinarily tacky. But I don't know why he would be allowed to, considering it is a club and strangers come and go as they please. But who's going to tell him no? So I don't think he'll be as permanent as that, but I think he'll go there more and stay there longer, all on taxpayers' dime. Hooray. And again, I don't think it really matters because I don't think he actually is going to do anything. So I mean, in the way of actual governing, he's going to do a lot of horrible things, but he can do that anywhere. From Vicky, do you think Google will join the others and bend the name? I don't know. And also how? I mean, I guess like Google's so huge. I mean, I think they'll probably whoever the CEO is probably gonna, throw a lot of money at Donald's inauguration or something. But I don't. It's a really interesting question. Like, how would that work? I need to think about that and get back to you. It is a good question. From E Vega, did you ever have a cordial conversation with Donald? And if you ever did, when was the last time? Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, again, as I mentioned, the last time was probably one of my visits to Mar-a-Lago, which would have been in the late 90s. But also, little known fact, he hired me to write, I think, his second or third book. I don't remember which one. So I actually worked with him for a few months, writing the book. So I was at his office every day for 6 months, maybe, and we chatted every day. And I mean, we never had a deep conversation because he's shallow, but usually our conversations consisted of he would show me articles about himself, and he'd ask me like what he should write, because what he would read an article about himself, and then he would write a comment on. He would have his assistant clip it out of the newspaper, the magazine. He would write on it some comment to the journalist and then send it back to the journalist. So that was fun. So weird. From Jackie, what are your 3 favorite unique Christmas songs? Mine are Christmas is the Time to Say I Love You from Billy Squire, Christmas Wrapping for the Waitresses, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Vince Vance, I am honestly not a connoisseur of Christmas music. I kind of like the classics. Adestus Fidelis is probably my favorite Christmas song, which I don't know if that's embarrassing or not, but what can I tell you? Yeah, it's not really my thing, and I don't know that I am particularly fond of any, unique. I'm guessing by unique you mean like non-canonical Christmas songs. So sorry, I feel like I'm letting you down. my apologies. I actually haven't heard. I don't get out much, but I haven't heard much Christmas music this year. So maybe is perhaps people aren't feeling festive. Oh wow, look, it's time to wrap up. So I just want to Jim, thank you for that. Very generous. Hazy Trip and Daisies, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. From Midas Cheryl, thank you, Midas Cheryl. That's awesome. She also wrote, wishing everyone here a wonderful holiday, whatever you choose to celebrate. Oh, a question. Mary, do you think if Donald hadn't become the golden bronzer child, he would have become a better version of himself? I don't think there is a better version of himself, but the rest of us would have been much better off. That's for sure. And I'm not just saying that. I really do not believe there is a better version of him, which is sad. He's all in to use a term coined by D.W. Winnicott. Donald is all false self, which I can explain some other time. Thank you, Violet's drummer. Very, very kind. And again, I just want to say you all, we appreciate you. We appreciate your being here, your donations, our super stickers, our moderators. You guys are great. And otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. So I want to wish everybody who celebrates Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus, Happy Solstice, Happy Kwanzaa. I'm probably missing something, but whatever you do, whether you celebrate or not, you know, uh, Christmas seems to be a day off for everybody, regardless. And again, it's Hanukkah tomorrow night, first night of Hanukkah tomorrow as well. So if you do have the day off, just take care of yourselves. I hope you do something relaxing and get some respite. And between now and the new year, we all regroup because we have challenges ahead. Um, just a scheduling note: the Nerds will be at its usual time this Thursday at 12 noon Eastern. But again, next week it will be on Monday at 12 noon Eastern. And on Tuesday, I think I'm doing this again and ask the very last Ask Mary Anything Within Reason of 2024. We should have a theme. I don't know. I'll think of something and I'll remind you on Thursday that we'll be here again. So, um, whatever you do, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please be kind. I will see you all Thursday. Take it easy. Bye.